got it, Tiger. Let's go.
From the fairways at Augusta to the courtroom, Tiger Woods, one of the greatest golfers of all time, sued by his ex-girlfriend for $30 million as she claims sexual harassment after their messy breakup. We look at the 5 most shocking revelations from Erica Herman's complaint. I'm Angenette Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime's Sidebar podcast. Erica Herman and Tiger Woods dated for just about 6 years. They broke up last year. And if you look at the complaint that Erica Herman filed against Tiger Woods, you can tell that she was clearly blindsided by their relationship ending. Herman has asked a judge to let her out of a non-disclosure agreement she signed in August of 2017 so she can speak freely about their relationship. The relationship is a bit messy. Herman worked for Woods at his restaurant in Florida when the two started dating. According to court papers, Herman's NDA was tied to her employment and her relationship with Woods. Woods' lawyers say Herman is now a jilted lover who just wants to be in the spotlight. On July 13th of 2017, Herman wrote to Woods' attorney and said she was concerned she might end up jobless and heartbroken in her 40s if Woods ended their relationship 5 or 10 years down the road. The two had previously agreed that any disputes between them would be handled in arbitration behind closed doors. Judge Elizabeth Metzger seemed skeptical of Herman's claims during a hearing this week and asked whether the contract was valid on its face. Judge Metzger said she would issue a decision about the suit and whether or not to grant Woods' request to dismiss it at a later date. Joining me to discuss this entire messy affair between Tiger Woods and Erica Herman is Dan Lust. He specializes in sports law. He's also a professor of sports law at New York Law School and at Fordham University. Kind of a Renaissance guy here, really into the sports law, even though this is kind of like sports relationship breaking up law. Dan, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
I'm not sure how many people knew that sports law was taught at law schools, but I did 2 law schools. Yes, I'm happy to be on. Yeah,
I certainly didn't, but hey, it's an area of the law, right?
It's not so different than like not-for-profit law. We're just dealing with sports entities, sports clientele. But yes, definitely an interesting practice area.
Yeah, definitely. So let's dive right into this. We have several claims that Erica Herman has made against Tiger Woods. One of them is that she's saying he sexually harassed her because she was an employee of his at his restaurant when they started dating. And she's claiming, oh, he forced me to sign this NDA to date him. And if I didn't sign it, I was going to lose my job. So it's technically sexually harassment. So your thoughts on that?
I'm not sure. I mean, listen, we need to know more of the allegations, right? That's also part of it. She's claiming to be bound by an NDA, so she's kind of been hesitant to say exactly what occurred in this kind of 7-year relationship between 2015 and 2022. But when you tell me that someone asked someone to sign an NDA, they were, having a relationship with their boss while employed at a restaurant that they owned, right? It's the Woods Juniper restaurant in Florida. That it doesn't, at least on its face, scream to me like traditional sexual assault and sexual harassment. In 2023, you can have certainly a number of types of sexual harassment, but it's really going to come down to the underlying, duress here. Was this really kind of pressure from a sexual standpoint, from an employment standpoint, some mix of the two? But yeah, it doesn't scream to me like our traditional sexual harassment. Just makes it a little bit of a horror case to prove from Erica Herman's standpoint.
And I think about it like this, Dan. So she's an employee. She starts dating her boss. They're in a consensual relationship, but somewhere along the line, she's asked to sign an NDA. And so that's pretty common with workplaces, not so common in relationships where you're dating somebody. So, an NDA, it's not unusual for somebody to sign an NDA when you're working for them. So she started dating him and dated him for years. So this was consensual.
Yeah, it was consensual. And I think if you really look at the terms of that NDA, which I think was signed in 2017, it was kind of like a hybrid relationship / continued employment NDA. So it's kind of odd, right? I've heard of NDAs. I've heard of kind of private relationship NDAs. Certainly we've heard of employment NDAs, but to combine the two in one seems odd, to say the least. So, why this NDA is important here, right? It's a lawsuit. And I'm sure we'll get into it about kind of like a wrongful eviction, but she wants to be able to, as part of her case, speak about what happened during the course of their relationship. This NDA obviously doesn't let her speak about that. And it also kicks all disputes between the parties into mandatory arbitration. So the only reason that this NDA might not be valid here, right? There's only one. It has nothing to do with Erica Herman or Tiger Woods. It has to do with the President of the United States, Joe Biden, who in December of 2022 passed something called the Speak Out Act, which allowed victims of sexual assault and sexual harassment, sexual abuse generally, to get out of kind of one-sided NDA agreements and be able to speak out about these kind of allegations. So Erica Herman specifically here is claiming, right, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, and saying, I am a victim. I need to be able to get out of this NDA and be able to speak freely about what happened between me and my former partner. So that's where this gets a little interesting here, right? What could, and again, we're not here to speculate, but the fact that she's claiming that it's some form of sexual harassment, she believes it rises to the statutory definition. I have not seen that yet, but that's her burden here, of course.
Right, of course. Let's go back to the arbitration piece of this. When she enters into this relationship with Tiger Woods, and it's serious, they're living together, she agrees that any disputes about their relationship would be handled in confidential binding arbitration. Obviously, a lot of people who've dated people probably haven't experienced that type of requirement for dating somebody or engaging in a relationship. Your thoughts on that? Because is she essentially violating all of this by filing this paperwork in court? Because she's supposed to be doing this all behind closed doors.
It's getting close. I mean, I think the only real indication that there is some sexual harassment involved is literally like a box that was checked. Does this allegation, does this claim involve sexual harassment? So maybe, right? There's certainly an argument that she's gotten pretty close to it. I'm a happily married man. I've never had anyone in my life have to sign an NDA before dating me, and I'm sure we don't know most people. Really, I don't know anyone that's done that. But then again, right? Tiger Woods is a different animal. Tiger Woods has had documentaries made about him. His paparazzi following him over the course of decades of his life in the public realm. So it's certainly not going to shock anyone that he's requiring someone to sign an NDA. I work with a lot of entertainers and athletes, right? The NDA is pretty common, even for something as simple as like workers that are at your house. You're going to make them sign an NDA just in case they see something they're not supposed to see. So I'm not so shocked by that part. I do think it was a little odd that there is this hybrid NDA, which seems very unique, right? It's one thing for a celebrity to date someone at their place of employment or a business that they own, but to make one NDA that kind of seems to be like, hey, I'm giving this NDA in consideration for the ability to spend time with Tiger Woods in a private capacity and for continued employment. That seems like not just kind of poor drafting. Right? That doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe make it specialized to the relationship, but why tie it to the employment? That seems kind of, I don't know, that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, you would think a lawyer might have raised a red flag to Tiger Woods about that, but maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it seems a little odd nonetheless. Another kind of weird claim in this by Erica Herman is that she says a lawyer broke up with her on Woods' behalf at the airport after telling her they were going on a trip to the Bahamas. That's kind of, I'm not sure that's the best way to handle a breakup if that's the way it happened.
I think the funniest part about that, not that any of this is necessarily funny, but this guy calls himself Ray Donovan with a pen. The alleged lawyer here, I guess that's a slogan on his website. Listen, maybe it's the non-legal advice, but if you're going to break up with someone, do it face-to-face. You're going to fire someone, do it face-to-face. Don't send an intermediary after the person has packed a bag. And it looks odd, right? It looks like almost like one of those, and this is part of the underlying allegation. Almost helps it seems like a self-help eviction, right? That you've lured someone out of the house. You've told them a private plane is waiting for them to take them to the Bahamas, and then when they try to get back to the house, they've been informed that they're locked out. They can't retrieve any of their belongings, and that's it. Have a nice day. And that whole part to me kind of doesn't smell right. Tiger Woods, who's he's very kind of guarded about his public image, his public perception. To do that to someone that you've had, again, allegedly, right, a 7-year relationship with, just doesn't strike anyone the right way. And now look what it's resulted in. So in terms of like liability avoidance, lawsuit avoidance, that certainly wasn't the right way to handle it.
There was another claim in here by Erica Herman that she is claiming that Tiger Woods, who is literally multimillionaire, maybe a billionaire, I don't know, a gazillionaire, stole $40,000 from her.
Yeah, I guess that's part of the allegation, right? When when she was trying to get back access to the house, claimed that she was given certain belongings, but what was missing is $40,000 that allegedly belonged to her. So, as you kind of point out, right, Tiger Woods, who is, I don't know if he's quite at billionaire status. It wouldn't shock me if he was, but definitely 100 millionaire status. Again, all allegations, but the fact that she's alleging that $40,000 was missing, and this is now someone who I believe is no longer working at the restaurant. She said kind of, at least in some of these court filings, that she was worried about being jobless and being able to support herself post relationship with Tiger Woods. The fact that she's saying that $40,000 was taken from her, right, is interesting, right? Tiger is kind of kicking someone to the curb. He doesn't necessarily need the $40,000. Again, we'll figure out where the truth is between whose $40,000 that was. But I did find that allegation to be particularly, we'll say petty. I think that's the right term here.
Another one, this is a big one. Erica Herman says because she had this oral tenancy agreement with Tiger Woods, I guess that, hey, you can live here. She's claiming that she could live there for years, I guess, after the relationship ended. She's claiming that as well. She says because of this agreement, she's entitled to $30 million. That is a lot of money, Dan.
That's a lot of money. That's more than $40,000. That's quite a lot
Way
more
more
than 40,000. Yeah, I mean that's the underlying case here. So I guess we kind of parse this out. The first case here is basically for like a wrongful eviction, that she's saying that she was being able or promised to being able to live in that the residence together, the joint. I don't even say joint residence, Tiger Woods residence for a number of years, and she's saying, well, the ability to live in that home, I think it was supposed to be 11 years total, so an additional 4 or 5. That was worth $30 million. So her being deprived of that, she wants the difference between whenever she was evicted and whenever she was promised. The problem with that, just for, fun kind of law school issue spotting fact pattern, is like statute of frauds, right, doesn't allow contracts that are incapable of being performed in 1 year to be oral. They have to be in writing in some way, shape, or form. So the fact that she's alleging a multi-year oral tenancy that somehow entitles her to $30 million, sure, if you have a written contract, maybe I get that. Maybe you're entitled to the remainder of the lease term if you're evicted, sure. But here it seems like a stretch, right? Those are property rights afforded to tenants that by and large are protected by written agreements, lease agreements. This is an oral tenancy with not a tenant, right? With a girlfriend, and obviously someone that he was cohabitating with, a serious girlfriend, but by legal definition, a girlfriend, until there's some type of legal document that changes her name. This is still Tiger Woods' home. My understanding, she wasn't on the deed or anything like that. And short of that, I'm not sure what law she's aware of that would entitle her to, again, even assuming it wasn't, an oral tenancy, which I don't think is enforceable, the remainder of that term when Tiger Woods was basically inviting her to live in his house. That seems odd. So either she's an invitee or she's a girlfriend, definitely not a tenant by any stretch of the definition.
And, something that's interesting about this is that there was an email exchange between her and Tiger Woods' lawyer back in 2017. And she's saying, my only concerns if by chance TW does something that brings our relationship to an end, would I automatically lose my job? I don't have any problem with what's in the document because I wouldn't go public or use anything I know to hurt him or the kids. But with my whole life in his hands, now I want to know some kind of control over my future in the business. If something happened 5 to 10 years down the road, I don't want to be in my 40s heartbroken and jobless. Thoughts. It was almost like she was kind of foreshadowing this, that she thought she'd be heartbroken, first of all. What if she wanted to end the relationship? But I find this to be kind of an interesting thing that she was kind of looking down the road and seeing this possibility.
Yeah, I felt bad reading that too. I mean, 5-10 years down the road is exactly where we are. And she is, right, heartbroken and jobless, so to speak. And again, I'm not sure she's been able to secure different employment. We just know that she's not working at Tiger Woods' restaurant, kind of understandably. But I thought the attorney's response to that email chain was kind of telling, right? Like, this is complicated and it could get complicated. But, to the point you raised earlier, when you enter a relationship with someone that's asking you to sign an NDA early on, when you're getting into a relationship with a consensual relationship by all intents and purposes with someone at your place of employment, like, yeah, it's going to get complicated. That part's not going to shock anybody. And again, maybe like the non-legal analysis here, when you're entering a relationship with someone like Tiger Woods, who, has kind of life-changing money, maybe you kind of look past some of the red flags. Maybe you do. Maybe you're inclined to sign an NDA. Maybe you're inclined to speak with your boyfriend's lawyer to sign an NDA, which seems so odd. But again, that's what happened here, right? She's alleging $30 million. At least to her, that's the amount that she thought she was gaining by being able to at least live in that house and live that life of luxury. So, maybe it's maybe not applicable here, but right, kind of tongue in cheek, right? The assumption of the risk. You kind of know what you're getting into when your boyfriend hands you an NDA, right? And you have to sign this to be in a relationship with me, right? That's obviously a red flag of all red flags.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Dan Lust, sports law attorney, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. And
that's it for this edition of Law and Crime Sidebar podcast. You can listen to and download Sidebar on Apple, Spotify, Google, and wherever else you get your podcasts. And of course, you can always watch it on Law and Crime's YouTube channel. I'm Angenette Levy, and we will see you next time.